Thanks everybody for coming out today. I know it was tough with such a beautiful day to get out of the office to come down here. I think this is as loud as it's going to be. We got our AV squad here today. Perfect. My name is Tom Roy. I'm Director of Public Works for the town of Simsbury, and we're happy to welcome you all here on behalf of both Simsbury and Bloomfield to the lovely village of Terriffill for the opening of our new bike trail. Our first speaker up today is Bruce Donald, who's really been key in making all of this happen. Bruce, as many of you know, has been building trails since he was a little boy. The rest of us played with Legos. Bruce built trails since I think he was 7. He is more passionate about trails than just about anybody I know, and without his help, things like this don't happen. So please help me in welcoming Bruce Donald, Southern New England Manager, East Coast Greenway.
Thank you. I will make this short. As many of you who know me are aware, I can speak for hours on the subject of building bike trails.
We really can't hear you.
I'll try.
Okay.
How's that?
Better.
Okay, good. A couple of things. First of all, if you've been on the trail and noticed how clean it is, where's Debbie? Put your hand up, Debbie. Okay. Thank you, sweetheart. Two things of interest. Tuesday afternoon, the National Greenways Council of the East Coast Greenway met virtually and voted unanimously to approve the Terriffill Greenway as the newest piece of the East Coast Greenway. I think that's a big deal and a testament, by the way, to how well it's designed and its connectivity to this piece of land right here. And also, of course, the connector to Bloomfield's Greenway, which is a huge deal for the region. And I bring up the region because opening this trail will now allow the East Coast Greenway to once again re-sign the travel route of the East Coast Greenway through the center of Simsbury, down 315, and hitting here, and then down at the end at St. Andrew's, Old St. Andrew's Church, down south, and we will determine that route. We haven't quite figured that out yet. And that'll be the new route of the East Coast Greenway, and we will sign that hopefully first quarter of next year, basically when the snow goes away. And both towns have decided that that's exactly where they want the route. That's critical because, once again, everybody going both east and west, or perhaps north and south, depending on how you think about it, through the East Coast Greenway, through riders, local riders, are going to be coming back through the center of Simsbury again, and also down through Bloomfield. I can't tell you how important that is for community building, for economic development issues, for pride of place, and how great is it for these communities to be able to have through route through the town. In the case of Bloomfield, apart from the on-road route that the East Coast Greenway has had for many years, the first time that they've got a linked greenway to the 3,000 miles of East Coast Greenway that spans from Calais, Maine to Key West, Florida. So it's a huge deal for the community, for both communities, for the region, and for the entire East Coast. So I want to leave you with that, and I particularly, before I go, want to thank both towns. Bloomfield for what they've done, which is just phenomenal, just phenomenal. And Simsbury, Simsbury was an early adopter of trails. The first piece of trail next to the park was late 80s, right? I think it was 88. So early adopters of the trail system. But it's important to remember that everybody wins when we build these trails. And again, I'm so pleased to be here. I'm so pleased to see so many people too. So thank you, Tom. I appreciate it. There you go.
Well, thank you, Bruce. Interesting part about this trail is it was built together with two communities, and we were fortunate to receive grant funding through the LOTSIP program that's administered by our friends at the Capital Region Council of Governments. But it's without the willingness of our towns to work together that we couldn't have gotten this done. So next up is the mayor of Bloomfield, Danielle Wong.
Thank you. We want to thank, I know Bruce thanked both the towns, but I want to thank Bruce for his leadership throughout this whole process, because this is history right now. And the first select woman said I only had 2 minutes, and we're in her town, so I'm going to keep it short. I'm kidding. But Bruce said it completely correct. This is about connectivity. This is about bringing two towns together physically. And we are so proud of this work. This work predates my existence into politics, at least. I was born and raised in Bloomfield. And to see this connectivity, to see the effort that it took to get to this point is amazing. And I want to thank the Bloomfield Town Council members. Please raise your hand. Thank you so much for your championship here. I want to thank Deputy Mayor Harrington for his leadership as well. We also have our Department of Public Works. Raise your hand, guys. Bloomfield's here strong. All right. Thank you. And we have our town engineer who puts pen to paper and who has been leading the design efforts from a Bloomfield perspective, Jonathan Tesey. Raise your hand, Jonathan. There he is. And so this doesn't come without a huge amount of volunteerism, a huge amount of leadership on the ground. And I want to acknowledge one person in particular who is the longest serving town councilor of Bloomfield, has been on the council as long as I have been alive. And he is also the chair of the Trails Committee, who he demanded be established 2 years ago to make sure that we produce efforts like we're seeing today, and that is Councilman Joseph Merritt. And I think he rode his bike here. Did you ride your bike here? And he rode his bike here. He leads by example from his house. Awesome. That's great. That's awesome. So this is absolutely about stewardship, and I want to make sure that we acknowledge those who have put pen to paper, who have been consistent in their championships statuses, as far as making sure that we have dollars allocated in the budget, that we fight for dollars at the state level. We work with our state representatives and our state senators to make sure that we have the amount of resources that we need to make this a reality. And I'm so excited for this, as well as what we have moving in the future. And so in the future, we're planning on building 3 more miles of the East Coast Greenway through the center of Bloomfield. So we need all of you to help advocate for that, because it's going to make us regionally stronger, and connecting not only to Simsbury, but connecting to the Hartfords of the world, our neighbors, and making sure that we bring this national attention, which it already has. And so this is absolutely a win-win for all communities, especially Simsbury and Bloomfield. And I'm excited to work and continue to work with my friend here, the first select woman, to make sure that we bring this to reality, no matter if it's this connection or other opportunities that we have. So we are here as an advocate, we are here as a partner to move forward. This is just the first step in making sure that we collaborate in spaces that make sense. And so again, I want to thank all those who have got us to this point, our staff, our local officials, our state officials, DOT, Old St. Andrew's Church, and do we have any Octagon members here? Yep. Octagon. You'll see them utilizing the trail throughout the entire area here, and they are in orange, because that's one of Bloomfield's awesome colors, orange. So I want to thank you for your advocacy and supporting this effort. And without further ado, I will hand it back to our awesome MC.
Okay. Thank you. It's such a great job, and it's so nice to be connected to our neighbors in Bloomfield. Next up is Wendy McStudis, the first selectman of the town of Simsbury.
This is a great crowd, and it's a great day, and I'm really excited to be here today. Okay, well, the first thing I want to say is thank you to Danielle Wong, Mayor of Bloomfield. We've met a few times over the past year, and we've talked about how we were looking forward to coming together for this ribbon cutting, given that we are both Bloomfield High graduates. Go Warhawks. I do have to say, I was going to say it's a couple decades apart, but it's actually a century divides us. It means so much to me that the town where I grew up that is now tied to my real hometown of Simsbury, and that the residents of Simsbury and Bloomfield will come together on this trail. I want to thank Bruce Donald. He has been the champion of the East Coast Greenway for us. He's kept us in the loop, and he's made recommendations and helped make this a reality for Simsbury and Bloomfield. This week, Bruce and our town manager signed a letter that endorsed the inclusion of the Terriffill Greenway Part 1 and the future Part 2 into the East Coast Greenway trail system. I do want to acknowledge the fact that I just happen to be the person in office when this trail opens up, and that there's been a lot of history before my time that led to all of us being here. It's really an honor for me to be the person standing up here representing all of the prior First Select women and men and Board of Selectmen members that came before me and who I am currently serving to talk about this major and historical accomplishment. They all deserve to be thanked for their dedication to this project and support. I'd like to recognize members of the Board of Selectmen that's here today. I think, Heather, you're here. We have State Senator Lisa Seminara and our State Rep Melissa Osborne, who are going to have to be champions for us going forward. I also want to thank our PD, our Parks and Rec Department, everybody in Public Works, and everybody in planning throughout the town that have made this possible. Our town engineers were critical to getting us where we are today. Jeff Shea, Adam Kessler, Tom Roy, and their counterparts in Bloomfield all played key roles over the last 7 years, working with town leaders on initiating the grant application for this trail, which started in 2016 as a joint initiative between Bloomfield and Simsbury. Securing this funding through CROG's Lot SIP program paved the way for the financing of this project. Were there challenges? As we all know, 189 is a busy stretch of highway, not really conducive to travel in anything but a vehicle. This project required working along this busy state roadway that straddled 2 different towns, run by 2 engineering teams and 2 groups of town leadership. This may have been the first Lot SIP trail project using a cooperative multi-town model, with the state involved on top of that. There were environmental permits required, along with the challenges of a straight cliff face with loose rock that occasionally came down, bordering the highway. Over this last year, we watched this transformation take place as Route 189, a limited access and high traffic road, transformed into having an off-road multi-use path that also happens to be pretty scenic. None of this would have been possible without the advocacy that took place to keep the focus on getting this done, as we continually heard and listened to members of our community. Our local bike advocates and champions of multi-use trails weighed in and kept us all connected, including members of our Simsbury Bike Ped Advisory Group. There's a lot of people here today that have really been pushing us all along: Deb, Chuck, Patty, Diane, and many others. But there's no one more vocal and in the mix than Steve Mitchell. He has been our hometown influencer and key enthusiast on all things biking. I want to thank the Terriffill Village, I guess the tent's blowing away. Terriffill Village Association, including past President John Nagy, who led multiple tours, and current President Sherry Landerman, and they understand the benefits of this trail system and its impact on the village of Terriffill and Simsbury. We thank all of you in Terriffill for working with us to help make this happen. And it won't stop here. This project is really the beginning of the bigger plan, or Terriffill Greenway 2, that will take us from Terriffill into Simsbury, joining the Farmington Canal Heritage Trail up by Big Y in the north end of town. Our Board of Selectmen showed commitment to this project by dedicating ARPA funds to get Phase 2 started, and then by getting CROG, thank you CROG, and thank you Tom Roy, wherever you are, to include this piece in their bigger design plans that will eventually work eastward from Bloomfield to Hartford and East Hartford. The town, East Coast Greenway and CROG held a forum with residents this year, resulting in a presentation and proposal to our board in September of the preferred design route, which we unanimously endorsed to move forward. These two multi-use trails, once connected to each other, will allow commuters, bicyclists, walkers, tourists, and others to travel this route for the enjoyment of the outdoors, to visit destinations in the Farmington Valley and beyond, or for commuting from point A to point B. We will need public support to get this done and a little patience, as it's not going to happen overnight. So we ask for all of your continued support. New board members, bike advocates, residents, businesses, our state leaders, to keep us focused on this, as this expanded trail system and future environmental showpiece will literally put all of us on the map. Thank you.
All right, thank you. As everybody's mentioned today, there's a lot of people involved in this, but including the folks from CROG and supplying the funding, none of this happens without the vision from the Connecticut Department of Transportation and their view of a non-motorized transportation network throughout the state of Connecticut. One of the key leaders in that thought process is Scott Hill, Chief of Engineering and Construction for the Connecticut Department of Transportation. Scott?
Thank you for having me here. Appreciate that. Tom, come on up here. Tom and I used to work together. It's 25 years ago, Tom?
At least.
Tom was one of my, my interns, my summer interns. So, little connection. Allison Birch, where are you? Allison in the back there. She's a Simsbury resident. She's my assistant. She's a supervising engineer. So, connections. I just wanted to give a little stump speech real quick for LOTSIP. Now you're all here. I know you know about it. Just make sure you keep talking to your legislators about funding it. We were able to get $2.3 million to fund this trail here. That's a key funding source. $300 million so far has gone to local communities such as you to help fund this sort of project for transportation, non-motorized transportation projects. Very key. Very key. Your legislators are here. Make sure you talk to them. Make sure you support it. And thank you, the Governor Lamont, and the legislature for continuing to support us. Thank you for having the Department of Transportation here today. We are a key component. Transportation, non-motorized, is a key part of us. As you all know, we just passed Complete Streets. We have a new Complete Streets document. If you're not aware of that, go please read it. Every single project now requires a design exception from the chief engineer, myself, not to have a bikeway and a sidewalk. We are going to change Connecticut. We are moving forward. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Scott. He let the secret out that we go back nearly 30 years ago, and Scott was one of the first professional engineers that gave me a chance. So those of you who like what you've seen here, really, it all goes back to Scott. If we can have our mayor and our first select woman head on over for the scissors so we can actually open up this trail and get the day going.
Excellent.
Good.
Go for it.
1, 2, 3.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.